This is David.
And hi, I'm Rachel, and we're the co-hosts of the Democrats Abroad Blue Vote Cafe podcast.
You can check us out on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
But right now, you're listening to a podcast by the Democrats Abroad's Veterans and Military Families Caucus.
Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you're enjoying this discussion.
Hello, everybody. Again, this is the Democrats Abroad Global Veterans and Military Families Caucus. My name is Michael Ramos. I'm in Australia. I'm an Illinois voter. I am a veteran. And on today's podcast episode, we have two fantastic guests who are both based in Europe. I will throw it over to them to introduce themselves. But before we get there, I just want to touch on this real quick because, we try to do this with every episode because it's super important. And that is, if you're a U.S. citizen living abroad or serving abroad or working abroad or studying abroad or whatever it is that you're doing on foreign soil, don't forget, you can always go to votefromabroad.org. Again, votefromabroad.org. Lots of stuff in there specifically for your home voting state. What are the rules? What are the deadlines? How can I request my ballot? I need help in Spanish language. Votefromabroad.org has all that information. Okay, so two guests here. One of them is Terese. One of them is Robert. I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Terese. If you could introduce yourself. Where do you vote? What position do you hold within Democrats Abroad? All that good stuff.
Hi, I'm Terese Sarno. I'm co-chair of the Germany Veterans and Military Families Caucus. I vote in Boston, and I am in the Kaiserslautern area in Germany, where we have over 55,000 Americans, which is the largest population of a city outside of the United States for Americans. The Germany caucus was the first Veterans and Military Families Caucus to be recognized, which actually was on February 19, 2018. So it was like a year before the Global Caucus finally got recognized because they kind of hit a bump in the road before getting officially recognized. But we organize a lot of programs. Our main focus is, of course, registering people to vote and helping others collaborate with people on military bases, with the voting officers, understanding that when they go onto a military base, they're going on as individuals, not as representatives of any caucus or any political organization. And they go on as individual American citizens to do nonpartisan voter registration. And that's been very successful in our area, although we have hit some bumps because in the past there have been people who haven't followed the rules, and there are people still around who remember those days, and we have to try to remedy that situation. But some of the events that we've organized in the past that have been really interesting was the seminar with Rick Beyer, who was the expert behind the Ghost Army, and he participated in one of our webinars last year, and we've collaborated with the American Consulate in Frankfurt with some of their activities, and they've been very thankful for our support. And our major event that we do each year, we've been doing this for 4 years, is Ring the Bells of Peace, which is a national event out of Washington, D.C., organized by the Doughboys. And anywhere you are at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month, which of course is Veterans Day, you ring a bell for peace. And we're hoping that more of our members and people who are potential members will participate this year and send us photos of that. Otherwise, it's very difficult to organize face-to-face meetings because we can't really contact our members directly. And I'm going to turn this over to Robert now, who I'm sure wants to delve into that topic.
I'm Robert Scott. I'm a veteran, and I vote in the state of Texas. As Terese alluded, one of our problems is communicating directly with members of the caucus. And the reason for that is European privacy laws. The GDPR we have to follow. And just to give you an example, and I think, the one that probably shook us most and caused us to draw back on some of our activities was we had a function a couple of years back with the Alvin Ailey dancers out of Washington, D.C. And it was a Zoom program. And we tried to get the word out to get people to come and view this because we thought it was very interesting and we thought it would be enjoyed. And just as a small example, and I hope Terese doesn't mind if I mention this, she, by going on social media, got the name of some people that she thought might be interested in this. And she sent them a notice saying, we're having this activity and we invite you to attend. Well, lo and behold, a few days after this occurred, she was contacted, and the organization was a bit upset because one of the members that she, sent an invitation to, like I said, name gotten on social media as a member of Democrats Abroad, wanted to know how did we get his information and who told us that we could contact him. And like I said, we weren't soliciting, we weren't asking him to do anything other than come and listen to the program. And I was taken aback because I didn't realize just by inviting someone to an event, if they weren't in our personal address book, that we had stepped outside of the lines. So that's made me extremely cautious, and probably the best thing that we do now is that each month Terese puts together an absolutely outstanding newsletter where she provides all kinds of information on coming events, information on historical things that have occurred. I get to read this newsletter every month because she asked me to go over it and edit it. And I find it to be, just absolutely amazing. Would I read anybody's newsletter every month if this wasn't the case? I don't know. But I'll tell you this, if we could get more people to read the newsletter, we would be able to get more people to attend meetings, whether primarily Zoom meetings, because we represent all of Germany and people are spread out from basically the North Sea down to Bavaria. And it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to bring groups together to meet in person. So with Zoom, it would be an outstanding way of communicating, having meetings, doing things. But we walk on pins and needles because if we send a message to someone, again, who is not in our personal address book, we encounter a problem here in Europe. Now, I think perhaps one of the ways that we can try to work around this in the future is to do more on social media. But what has happened, or what's been the case in the past in Germany, our social media account is not one for the organization, not one for veterans and military family, but for all of the Germany element. So what we can do, or will try to do in the future, is see if we can get the word out that way through social media, through either Facebook or one of the other social media outlets that we communicate with. So if we could figure out how to get the information out, I think that we could make this effort a lot better. I reinforce what Terese said about the main thing that we're doing now. In the Kaiserslautern area, we attempted in the Wiesbaden area and those areas that are close to where we live to get out to military installations and register people as best we can. On the occasions when we have been able to get onto the bases, we have had very good response. A lot of folks come around. They're very happy that we're there helping. But the real difficulty is on some of the bases, based on things that have happened in the past. If there's any affiliation with a private organization, we're not supposed to be, or a political organization, I should say, we're not supposed to be on the base. So when we go on, we just go on as citizens trying to help. And the places where we are allowed, we've been able to do credible work. But those places are not as many as we would like. And we're still making attempts to improve on that. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to do it even better, because all we would like to do is energize folks, point out the importance, especially of next year being an election year, and the fact that we need to get everybody voted everybody registered to vote in the next election.
Now, that's good. I would just add a bit of information about the person that complained about my contacting him. Actually, this was somebody who was a chapter chair who was listed on the Democrats Abroad website, because they used to list all of the contact emails for each chapter on the websites. So it was there for public information. Anybody in the world could have gone onto those website and contacted that person. So I don't know why he was so upset that somebody sent him something that he didn't know. But yes, that did create a huge problem and made it very clear that we could not contact people the way we would like to, so that we could invite people to volunteer and do that.
Yes.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, if somehow or another we can resolve this problem, I think we can be a lot more effective. Historically, organizations that I've been in and have been in the leadership, we've been able to go directly to the membership, get, however, by email, however, get the word out to them that we were having meetings, and folks would know when and where to show up. The difficulty now, like I said, we can't go directly, so we have to hope by posting things on the DA website that we're having an event, asking people to respond. And like I said, I mean, we put it in the newsletter, and for those people who have an opportunity, if it presents itself, please take a look at our newsletter, because I think it's got to be one of the best in Democrats Abroad Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen you guys' newsletters and they are great. Okay, let me just ask you a couple of rapid fire questions. For a Democrats Abroad member living in Germany who is not military connected at all, not a military spouse, not a veteran, but they're interested in the caucus, is there a place for them to raise their hand and roll up their sleeves and help with the volunteer mission?
Again, there's certainly a place for them. The difficulty typically is finding out about them.
Mm-hmm.
They know that we exist, but if they don't get in touch with us, it's almost impossible for us to make anything happen. But yes, we would love to have people contact us so that we can get them involved in the things that we're trying to do, and to make that a greater effort.
Okay. Yep. Thanks for that. And I want to go back to what Terese had mentioned earlier. And this is very important for our listeners. If you help out with voter registrations on a U.S. military installation, whether it's in Germany or Japan or anywhere else, this is nonpartisan volunteering that you will be doing. All right. So this is not, nothing to do with Democrats Abroad, nothing to do with votefromabroad.org. Again, if you are on base, you use different resources such as fvap.gov and the literature that they have for aimed at the service members and so forth. Okay, so let me ask a question for Terese. Well, Veterans Day is right around the corner. So as we are recording this, it is October 26th, so almost Halloween. So Veterans Day is right around the corner. Do you guys have anything planned for Veterans Day?
Well, we have this Ring the Bells of Peace, which can actually be done internationally. We're at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. Everybody rings a bell wherever they are. So you don't have to be an organized group, but you could organize a group. You don't have to be near an American cemetery. You just can do it all by yourself in some little town, or, find a few people and all ring your bell at that time. And it would be great if you would take photos and send us those photos.
Yeah, sounds good. And I just wanted to mention real quick that I had looked this up while you were speaking in a previous email, and I did find the email address. So for anybody to reach out to Robert and Terese, the email address is veterans with an S, Veterans Caucus at democratsabroad.de. And that's like as in Delta Echo. So that is the email address. Hey, I'd like to volunteer. Hey, sign me up for the newsletter. Hey, sign me up for the caucus. Hey, I'd like to, lay a wreath in Luxembourg, or whatever it is that you'd like to do. Try to coordinate these efforts with Terese and Robert. And just thinking here, and you touched on this earlier with Democrats Abroad Germany, Veterans and Military Families Caucus, that was the first VMF caucus in all of Democrats Abroad. If you'll recall, when that first happened, was there a high demand for the caucus, or was it a struggle or a challenge to establish it, or was it very easy? How did that process work out?
No, it was actually very easy because, in the Kaiserslautern area, which was the base of the founding of the caucus, we have 55,000 Americans. We not only have active duty military, we have veterans, and we have the DoD civilians who are a very important part of the military community. So we had a lot of people, and, we have a lot of Department of Defense educators, and I'm still calling it Department of Defense, who are in the Kaiserslautern area because we have 11 schools. So, people were very interested. Now, of course, the problem did present itself that for meetings, we would only have about 20 or 30 people who would attend because in our area, Americans don't have to come to a Democrats Abroad event to meet other Americans because we have hundreds of activities every day that are organized for Americans in the Kaiserslautern military community. So people have things to do when they have Americans to see every day. So we're a particularly different situation. But I think even right now in the overall membership of the Veterans and Military Families Caucus globally, we have the most members. But we could have many more.
Yeah, thanks for coming on today. I think this has been a very informative episode, especially for those in Europe and especially in Germany. And yeah, I understand the GDPR privacy thing. I think about that all the time. Even though I don't live in Europe, I understand that it's a struggle to communicate with people. Then you have to get consent, and you can't just say, hey, I'd like to speak to you without, going through all these hoops beforehand. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Any last words? Any last remarks?
Yes, please remember to ring the bells of peace on November 11th at 11 a.m., wherever you are.
Thank you very much for having us, and I hope that we're able to get the word out to even more people in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Silver wings on your chest. I'm gonna be